This series of videos looks at weaknesses that I discovered on my website after it came under attack by hackers, and the steps I went through to remove those weaknesses and to harden every aspect of my server and my applications. The moment you make your website public, the bots immediately start scanning it for weaknesses. Environment variables, hunting for standard weaknesses, WordPress, WordPress sign-in, WordPress admin, WordPress, GitHub, environment variables, configuration files, API file. All of these things are potential weaknesses that the bots are constantly exploiting. Whether you are a system administrator, a developer, or a solopreneur who doesn't know anything about the back end, or simply the manager of a company that has a website, you need to be aware that your website is constantly under attack by bots searching for well-known attack vectors. If you don't have the skills or the desire to secure your website yourself, you need to engage someone who does. In this short episode, I'm going to look at how to access your server securely using FileZilla or other FTP client access tool after SSH has been locked down. The problem is that SFTP, which is Secure File Transfer Protocol, tools such as FileZilla that I use, uses the SSH Port 22, which we have in the previous episode locked down so that it can no longer access the server using user ID and password over port 22. So originally we would have had, so let's say here's FTP, client, FileZilla. I go to Site Manager, old site, went to this port, there's this IP address, that port 22 using user ID and password, and then you say connect, and it just connects, or it prompts you for a password and connects. Under the new paradigm, with port 22 blocked on the server and access only available via IAP, this no longer works. So you can't access files on the server using FTP anymore. So what we've done basically is exactly the same as what we did when in the previous episode when accessing the server using IAP. So we've gone from using port 22 SSH to using IAP tunnels on the host. So the way it was working before, I would go on, open my FTP client, FileZilla, on my Windows PC, enter my user ID password, give it the IP address and port number of the destination, which is the virtual machine, the server. It would call port 22 on that IP address, which SSH daemon was monitoring, and that would allow me to connect directly to the server and access the file system on there. And also I could open a shell window on the same port 22 and use the command line interface. Now in the new paradigm, using IAP and blocking port 22 on Google Cloud Platform, I've set up a public-private key pair using the IAP configuration, which you would, if you saw the video on locking down SSH, you would have seen that, how I described that. But on my PC, I've set up the same public-private key pair and a Windows tunnel. So the first thing I have to do is open the Windows tunnel through GCP, Google Cloud Platform, using the IAP, passing the public-private key pair through. That opens a tunnel between the two of them. Then I open my client, FileZilla, connect to the port 2222 that this tunnel exposes on my PC. So my FileZilla client now accesses localhost port 2222, and that exposes a tunnel through IAP on the Google Cloud Platform, which in turn connects to port 22 on my virtual machine. If we bring up FileZilla, so that was the old way. So I would go to point FileZilla at the IP address, port 22, user ID and password. The new way, it connects to localhost on port 2222, and the key file is on my localhost, sorry, on my local PC. It picks that up and passes that through, but FileZilla itself doesn't know how to connect to the server. So it uses that user ID, that key file. It passes that to localhost, which is the tunnel. All right, so the next question is, okay, so how do we open the tunnel? Right, so this is a shell script on my PC that runs the gcloud command, which is a program from Google Cloud Platform. Gcloud compute with the command start IAP tunnel to my instance, so that's my virtual machine instance, port 22, and set up a local host at port 2222. And the zone has to be, you have to identify the zone as being the same as what your server instance is set up on. And then pause, so it doesn't just run it and then stop, it runs it and stays open. So this script, I've got it set up on my desktop as a link. Before I run FileZilla, I just run that script and then open FileZilla. So running this script will open a tunnel to Google Cloud Platform, to which redirects to that virtual machine, which is that instance name. And once that script is running and the tunnel is open, then I open FileZilla and access localhost port 2222, giving it the user ID, my user ID, and the key file, which must match. So connect. Now I haven't actually run it, so it'll come back and say could not connect to server. All right, retry. We're not going to retry. So I'll run the script. There's the script. So numpy. Okay, tunnel connection works. There we go. Right, it's listening. That's it. Fine. And then we start FileZilla. Site manager, Cortaker, connect. And there it is, and it's successful, and it's immediately connected. Okay, and that's all there is to it, and it's much more secure now. No one can access the server using FTP or SSH anymore, so it's completely locked down, and that's how you secure FTP access to your server. Okay, bye for now.